All right, guys, we're back on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. SEC basketball power rankings. The legend himself, Max Barr, is here, and I see some of you joining in from our football stream. Yes, I did just finish up a Lane Kiffin diss track, which you can find on our football stream this morning via ChatGPT. You guys have had some fun with that, seemingly. So, but Max, we got basketball to talk about. We haven't done this since last Wednesday. I know some people were asking, where the hell is Max Barr and Blake? Where are they? Oh, sorry, guys. We were both traveling for Thanksgiving and just didn't work out to do a basketball show. And so we're here, power rankings, and these are probably the most exciting power rankings of the season so far, Max, because I don't have any clue where anyone is going to be at in these rankings because we have compiled our rankings. We've compiled our rankings from our members, our MVPs and legends.
Yep.
Remember, you can, if you want, to vote on our power rankings each week. You now have that luxury as an MVP or a legend here at the channel. All you got to do is join the membership. I'll put the link like I always do in the chat. And yeah, you get to weigh in. So I'm excited for these, Max Barr.
I'm just excited to be back talking hoops, Blake. I'm just excited to be back. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday with friends and family. Welcome to new member to the Barr family. Got a new dog, Blake.
Nice.
Got a new dog. It was an eventful holiday. Happy to be back. Ready to talk some hoops.
All right, Daryl's here. Don't forget, I think Daryl broke his foot last time around. Luckily, that thing's healing. From what it sounds like, I think that thing's healing fast. Daryl will be back up in no time. All right. Before we get into it, Game Time Sidekicks, you know about them. Let's tell you about them again. Officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. Every SEC school was there. Over 350 more universities as well. Stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, shaker cups. They've got it all. Head over to GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use our code SC16KIT. SC16KIT for 20% off at GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right, here we go. I'm ready. Don't know where anyone's at, although I feel like I have a pretty good idea of number 16, but I could be wrong on this.
This is gonna be a fun power ranking. This is gonna be a fun one. Okay, so starting off, number 16, we do have Mississippi State here at 16. Now, it was very close, 16 and 15. There's not too much separation, but Mississippi State comes off the overtime loss after an overtime win. A little bit of extra basketball this past week for Mississippi State, but overtime loss to SMU. Tough one. You really needed that one after you dropped the Iowa State and Kansas State games. That would have been a big-time quad one win. Tough loss there against SMU on Friday, Blake.
Yeah, my goodness. Some of the team has played some close games. 3 straight games. New Mexico lost by 2, won by 3 in overtime against New Orleans, then lose by 6 in overtime to SMU. And like we said, I mean, honestly, the schedule still gets a little iffy over the next couple of weeks. They're at Georgia Tech tomorrow or Wednesday night in the ACC Challenge. They've got San Francisco on Sunday, and then they play Utah, who we know, we'll talk about a team in a second, that Utah already has a win over, surprisingly. So, yeah, they're 3 and 4, very far away. By the way, the first net rankings came out this morning. You guys saw that. A huge gap between the rest of the SEC and Mississippi State, who currently sits at 172 in the net. The next closest to them is South Carolina at 99. So,
did get back Jaden Epps. Didn't play against New Orleans in that overtime game. You did get him 33 minutes of them against SMU. So in a backcourt that's been pretty much, it's been different every game. Maybe we finally get consistency out of Hubbard and Epps. But man, you really need a big one here against Georgia Tech on Wednesday.
By the way, I'm going to push back on this, Sam. I keep bringing it up, but guys, we cannot forget they have made the tournament 3 straight seasons.
They have.
He's not going anywhere. I'd be stunned. We cannot forget that. Like, I know they've not been an elite team, like in terms of like, hey, they haven't been a top 5 team or anything like that in the league, but they've made the tournament every year. And I think right now, I don't know if you're going to make that change no matter how the season goes. Now, I always say, if you go 0 for an SEC play, which they're not going to, anything's, I guess, up for grabs, but I just don't see it, guys. I don't see it making a change.
Yeah, when you filter Torvik to get out the preseason stuff over the past month, Mississippi State 139th in Torvik, so got some ground to make up.
All right,
moving up, number 15, we have the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Played one game this past week after that close, honestly, sour taste still from that Northwestern game. Had a chance to win it. How about Mongolian Mike, though, against Charleston Southern? 7 assists, no turnovers, 2 blocks, 2 steals, a little bit of everything. A little bit slow out of the gate offensively for South Carolina, but end up pulling away by 12 against Charleston Southern on Friday to bounce back.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough game. We said that day after Thanksgiving type. Those are tough, I feel like, sometimes. And yeah, especially it's a home game. You probably got less people in the stands than you usually do. Like, I think that's a tough spot. But I think, impressed by the overall performance. I feel like against Butler and Northwestern, I think they're still a team that's trending up. How far up remains to be seen, but I think tomorrow night's an interesting game for them against Virginia Tech. Because, that's a Virginia Tech team who, I just think, I feel like this is kind of an interesting one for them. If South Carolina can find a way to win this one, then I think you're feeling pretty good about where you're at heading into SEC play based on the remainder of their non-conference schedule.
Yeah, want to get Miles Studi back for this stretch here, dealing with the broken nose / concussion, and same with Hayden Asemian, who was on a 4-game starting stretch. Want to get those 2 guys back for this next game against a Virginia Tech team who I can't really tell if they had some good results, beat a good Colorado State team, beat Providence, but then 2 poor results this past week. So you never know. You might be catching Virginia Tech in a kind of a must-win bounce-back scenario. So pretty important one for South Carolina coming up here. All right, moving up to number 14, we have Oklahoma. Now, it seems as if the members, Blake, have really given up on the Sooners. The members' vote in the power rankings was not too kind to the Sooners. And, warranted. Haven't had a great result yet. Did beat Marquette in a little bit of a down Marquette team. No Cam Jones, no Tyler Kolek out there for Marquette, but still, you grab a 1-point win. If you saw the end of that game, oh my gosh, that took some years off a few Sooners fans' lives, the way that one ended. But Oklahoma sitting here at 14, Blake, right now, 64th in the analytics.
I just don't have an opinion on Oklahoma right now. I know they beat Marquette, but I think there's still some frustrating things when you watch them play that I don't know where they wind up, man. I'll be honest. They are still, to me, the unknown, probably more so than anybody. I don't know where they wind up. Their defensive numbers are just atrocious right now. Yeah, I don't have a great feel in Oklahoma, admittedly. Maybe we're supposed to have a strong opinion on everyone. I don't have a strong opinion on them yet. I just feel like they are still a lot to be seen. I know they've lost by 15 to Gonzaga. They've lost by 6 to Nebraska. They beat Marquette. Have a chance for a quality win tomorrow night at Wake Forest. But yeah, I don't have a great read on them. I still feel like they're a team that's maybe going to hover around that bubble range, but I don't know that my optimism is much higher than that right now.
Yeah, it's nice to grab the Marquette win with getting 0 points from Xavier Brown. That's not you're not gonna get many wins with Xavier Brown scoring 0. So that's a nice, looking at that back, that's a nice development that some different guys, Jeff Nwankwo and Tay Davis and Darian Reed, getting their offense going and stuff. But Blake, it really comes down to can Moser figure out this defense right now on Torvik? When you get the preseason data out, 36th offensive efficiency, pretty good offense, 233rd defense. Not going to even come close to cutting it. So if you get that defense figured out, the offense is there, top 40-ish. This defense has got to get a lot better. So we shall see how that develops. But moving on. Number 13, Blake. Number 13. We've got the Rebels. The Rebels. This is a team I just cannot figure out. Tough game against Iowa. You guys know I'm very high on Iowa, losing by 5 on a neutral floor. Not a bad result at all. But then Utah, you're in a bounce back spot against a really poor Utah team that just lost to Cal Poly and Grand Canyon. Dropped the Utah game by 1. Poor result. But it's I watch Ole Miss, Blake, and I don't not like them. I don't not like them. It's just it's not all there yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is another team where it's like I feel like I changed my opinion on them a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's the inconsistency, right? And I think you could even just like we talked about it, like Dia has a down game against Iowa. If he plays just an average game, they probably win that game.
Right.
But he didn't, and they lose that game, and then you have the double whammy of then losing the game against Utah. I think just a team you should not have lost to. Like you said, I mean, a team that had come off back-to-back losses to Cal Poly and Grand Canyon. We always say weird results in these Feast Week games. I mean, I think the Players era could speak for that as much as any when you talk about just the one-sided games that you saw in that tournament. But not ready to just completely overreact for Ole Miss. It's disappointing for sure, but not going to overreact just yet. I think the bigger story could be, all right, what happens if they lose both this week, right? You host Miami tomorrow. You play at St. John's on Saturday. If all of a sudden you're on a 4-game losing streak, then that becomes pretty problematic. But I would expect them to bounce back tomorrow night and play a more consistent game. But I am curious to see how they progress, and more so just kind of the rotation for this team, because I feel like we've said it multiple times, right? I feel like there are just some guys that have been up and down, and I don't really know how the rotation settles. So,
yeah, I want to see Ilias be a little bit more aggressive. Only 7 shots in his last game. Right now, he's got an assist rate of 29%, turnover rate of 21.7%. Got to get that turnover rate down a little bit, and I want to see him just be. I feel like there's a few possessions each game where I'm like, Ilias, you're one-on-one. You're tall. You're 6'5", 190. You've got a good mid-range game. Go to work a little bit. Draw some contact. I want to see Ilias, and that's what you expect from internationals. A little bit of an adjustment period. I think this team needs Ilias just to be a little bit more of a catalyst. Could unlock some things. All right, moving up. This team is moving up, getting their guys back. Buckyball and Texas A&M with a 95-59 absolute domination of Florida State. Just put on a show. Put on an absolute show, Blake, with no Rylan Griffin.
Well, I was not joking. I don't know where that came from. Like, that's a Florida State team, like we said, that had a chance to beat Florida. And I know Florida's going to be a little further down the rankings than most people are used to seeing them, but I don't know. Like, again, this is one of those results that's like at Feast Week. What? Like, how did that happen? But I mean, when you go 15-34 from 3, you go 15-34 from 2, you make 20 or 25 free throws. That's not a bad day at the office. And they completely dominated the glass. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Mbako's back has helped, but I mean, it's not like he had his best game in that one. He had 10 points in 17 minutes and he fouled out. But yeah, give him credit, because like we were kind of curious about Texas A&M after they lost by double digits at home to UCF when they had the lead, and since then had a close game against Montana, which I don't think should have been surprising. But hey, give them credit, man. They turned it on and got a very winnable game, I think, tomorrow night at Pitt. And a team that's, I think lost 3 of their last 5, lost to Quinnipiac at home last week, I think. So some positive movement here for the Aggies.
We have to talk about Ruben Dominguez.
He's been, yeah.
If you're just, it's November, we got through November. If you're making an all SEC team for November, just 5 players, Ruben Dominguez has to be on it.
He's been the top breakout player in the league so far.
We haven't talked about him enough. But if you're just making a 5-player first team all SEC for the first month of the season, Texas A&M's Ruben Dominguez has to be on that list. He's the number 1 3-point shooter in the country right now. Yeah. Number 1. He's got the most makes in the country right now. 33, I think. Yeah, 33 of 67, 49%. He's the number 1 shooter in the country right now.
Dude is on pace to, let's see, 33. We got how many more months of the season? I mean, he's on pace for like 133s or something this year. I mean, he's easily been the number 1. Buckyball's got a shooter. Are you kidding me? Look out. Here come the Aggies. They're back.
He got put into the starting lineup 4 games ago. He started 4 games. In the past 4 games, he's 23 of 40 for 57.5% from 3. And 23 threes in the past 4 games, almost 60% rate. This is better than Caleb Grill last year so far. This is better than Kobe Bryant last year so far. This is incredible numbers. Ruben Dominguez.
What do you think Texas A&M fans are doing? Like, they're like, wait a second. Like, put me in a time machine this time last year, and I'm watching my team, shoot 82 free throws, and we're 2 of 28 from 3. And then Ruben's coming out here saying, you know what, I got you. I'm going to make 33 threes before the calendar even hits December.
What?
You kidding me? Incredible stuff. Might be my new favorite player.
Blake got a new favorite player. Offensive rating of 156.5 is 4th in the entire country right now. I don't know what they're doing over there in Spain, but they've got some shooters. All right, moving on up. Texas A&M is right next to, you guessed it, Texas. Texas had some good results. It might not have been always W's. They'll drop the Arizona State game, but you bounce back against Chaminade, and then bang, best win of the year so far against your fighting Will Wade's and NC State, 102-97. What a game that was. Texas was out double-digit lead, controlling that game for most of it. NC State makes it close there coming out of the second half, but Texas not looking too bad, Blake.
No, nice win there against NC State, as we said. The Chaminade game, you hate to play that one. Nothing against Chaminade, but it just doesn't do anything for you. And so when you play in Maui, you want all the games to feel like they have an impact on your resume. That one's not going to have at all. And maybe the Arizona State one comes back and has a negative impact, but you get all that back with the NC State win, because I still think NC State will be fine. So, yes, that was the most positive result, I thought, for Texas, was just to get out of there with a win that didn't include Chaminade. And so I think that's really all you could have asked for. Jordan Pope, someone else who I think, as we've said, I think if you're looking at Texas and what their ceiling can be, it's going to be a team where Jordan Pope, if he can just get hot, that's really going to help them, I think, in terms of his shooting ability. And so certainly did that in the NC State game. And they got a game that's very sneaky good on Wednesday against Virginia. That's one definitely, and we said it, they need that one big time to build up their non-conference resume a bit. That would be a nice back-to-back to have NC State and Virginia's wins, knowing that I think it's going to be tough to win at UConn next week. So,
one thing for Texas is if you told me they're going to make 16 threes and shoot 50% from outside against NC State, I'd say, oh, wow, they probably won by double digits, didn't they? So to make 16 threes, that'll probably be a season high for Texas. I'd be surprised if they get more than 16 this year. And only to win by 5, it's like, all right, we're not gonna be banking on 16 threes against Virginia. So got to have a little bit more consistency from the interior offense. Boki Titus got to stay out there a little bit longer, but like what we're seeing so far. Okay, moving on up. Now these teams were razor thin. This was probably the thinnest margin of the whole power rankings right here, 11 and 10. 10 is Georgia. Georgia comes off of just a one game last week against Tennessee Tech, put up 123. It's the second time Georgia's eclipsed 120 this year. You didn't think you'd hear that before the season, did you? Second time Georgia has gotten to 120. That's a bounce back off the Clemson overtime loss last Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to really feel bad about, I think, if you're looking at Georgia. I was curious where they would wind up. I didn't know if they'd be ahead of LSU. I think I may have had the reverse order. I don't remember. But, yeah, I think, again, it's kind of one of those where I think if you're a Georgia fan, you're perfectly fine with this right now. Like 7-1. I know they had the close call against Xavier. Maybe a little disappointing in terms of, still a team that I think is going to struggle to shoot the ball at times. No question about it. But at the end of the day, I still feel like you're taking the performance you've seen so far from this team overall through 8 games. And, play at Florida State tomorrow night. I mean, after what A&M just did to them, it feels winnable if you're Georgia. So, yeah, I think Georgia is still in a pretty good spot here. And you go win that one tomorrow night, I think you're certainly looking at a team that's going to enter SEC play, should enter SEC play with only one loss if they win the game tomorrow night at Florida State. So,
Jeremiah Wilkinson has gotten his offense going. Averaging 23 points over the past 2 games, had only hit 20 points once in his first 7. So, or first 6, excuse me. So nice to see Wilkinson finally getting in his rhythm. Saw that a bunch last year at Cal.
Shout out to Zach. I know who left a super chat earlier. $5 super chat. Zach said, I submitted my rankings 5 minutes ago. Make sure they're counted. Zach, they absolutely were not counted because
Yes.
I apologize. We have a hard deadline because we have to compile our rankings and all that. So I apologize, Zach. You can send your rankings in the chat if you would like, and we will look at them and give you our thoughts at the end.
Yes. Okay. Into the top 10. Into the top 10, you had mentioned one team that you were curious about, and you were right on, Blake. Number 9 is LSU. LSU, you could make an argument for them to be higher, but you do have the fallback. They haven't really played any extremely tough competition. Drake, not the Drake of the past 2 years, but still not a bad team, right around 125th in the analytics. And then DePaul, again, not a horrible DePaul team, but still it's not top 100 in the analytics. But hey, you can't complain. You're winning games. You're covering analytical spreads. And right now, LSU, a team that started Ken Pom off at 56th, ends November 23rd.
As Hurt Life Rick says, yeah, LSU on up there in the net. So, and I think this is where, again, like I feel like LSU and Missouri, there are some similarities here where I just don't, you're going to have to bring some eye test into this because if you just look at who they played, there's not a lot to go on so far. I mean, like we said, Missouri's best win by 23 against number 114 Minnesota in Ken Pom. LSU's best win, as you said, 115 DePaul by 33. So, like, their performance has looked really good. Like, they looked the part, but they also have played teams that they should have looked the part against.
Yes.
So, where you rank them, it's going to be in the eye of the beholder. Sam said in his rankings he had them at 13. I mean, some people, I think, had them higher than this if you look at our member rankings. So, you're going to see, I think, Missouri, LSU, teams like that, and not just them. It goes for some of these other teams too. Do you value the wins more against bad competition, or do you value a team? Like I said, I think I had Georgia higher than LSU, and the reason why is because, well, I've seen Georgia against Xavier. I've seen him against Clemson, and I know Xavier's down, but hey, I don't think a 3-point overtime loss to Clemson's a bad loss, and so I just think that's where you got to bring some eye test into this. These are subjective rankings, and I got no problem with LSU here. So whatever. I mean, we'll find out more about these teams literally starting tomorrow. We're going to see some separation when we start the ACC Challenge.
Yeah, one thing to note here, and it's, I mean, holy smokes, fingers are crossed and then some. Jalen Reed, left leg injury. Wasn't the ACL on the right leg. Is a left leg injury against Drake, and then I'm pretty sure was in crutches on the sideline against DePaul. So Jalen Reed getting evaluated at LSU probably today or yesterday. But fingers crossed that Jalen Reed doesn't have anything serious to that left leg because it looked a little awkward. It was just like going for a rebound, landed a little weird on the left leg, and then in crutches the next day. So Jalen Reed, you know how that front court, kind of the Markel Sutton, Miller, Tamba, Nwoko, Reed, all those guys going in waves, been the strength of this team to pair up with DJ Thomas. You lose Reed, and that's a big element of this team right now. So fingers crossed for Jalen Reed, Blake.
Swish is asking, are we doing game-by-game predictions for the challenge? I'll be honest, I still don't know what we're doing exactly. We're going to do something today. We may do some games separately. We may do all of them. We're TBD on that, but we will do our best, and I think I know you guys want predictions for every single game, so there is a possibility we may just do a full-on SEC, ACC challenge prediction, just do some quick picks and all that. We'll see, but TBD. It'll be on the channel, turn on your notifications, all that good stuff.
Yeah, what a week of hoops after they just made us sit there all weekend with basically nothing. Don't ever do that again, CBB. Yeah. Give us a weekend like that. There was nothing this weekend. All right. Moving up into the top 8. Moving up in the top 8. Team here I didn't expect to see in this spot all year. The Cats of Kentucky at number 8. They played one game this past week against Tennessee Tech, 104-54. Poor Tennessee Tech. But not too much has changed since 2 weeks ago when it was the Michigan State game and then the bounce back. I mean, hey, you've bounced back nicely 2 times against Loyola Maryland and Tennessee Tech, but both those teams about 300th in the analytics. So, hey, we're gonna learn a lot in this North Carolina game. There's a lot riding on this one, Blake.
Yeah, we've had one power ranking. We've had one game since the last power rankings for Kentucky. That was a 104-54 win against Tennessee Tech. So I don't think it's that upsetting to just be like, well, we didn't really move them much because there's nothing to really go off of except for that. Yes, they bounced back with 2 big wins after the Michigan State loss. But guess what? There's a team that could move significantly this week, and that is Kentucky, based on the fact they play North Carolina on Tuesday and the Zags on Friday. So if you're looking for your movement for Kentucky this week, you'll get it. If they go 0-2, they may keep dropping. They go 1-1, we'll see where they wind up. They go 2-0, they're moving up. Simple as that. Prove it against the big teams. That's what we want to see. We haven't seen them do that yet.
Yeah, that's really what it's about, and that's also why it's like hard to rank like an LSU. It's hard to rank a Missouri and stuff compared to a Kentucky, because it's like if Kentucky just, if they haven't played a top 100 team yet, do they have a loss? And it's like,
right,
so it's tough to rank, through just 4 weeks when some teams haven't played a top 100 team yet, and then others have played 2 or 3. So it is what it is.
I think I think it's easier to be down on them just because of the performance-based stuff and also the, I don't want to say off-court stuff because I'm not suggesting there's, but like it's the Mark Pope press conference, it's the comments from Otego, it was all that kind of stuff. Like that's just, like it's easier to be like, you know what, I don't know if I trust them yet, and move them down. So, and
it's also the eye test of being down 20 against Louisville for a little bit, being down 20 to Michigan State. It wasn't like those were really tight competitive games. Those were rough.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Moving up, another team that just hasn't been able to put everything together in the big games. The Hogs. The Hogs looked for a while like they were going to have the Dukies on the ropes. That was a heck of a game of runs. This way, that way. Duke up by 10. Arkansas up by 5. Ends up Duke runs away with it in the end, 80-71 victory. You don't get the win in the second big game of the season, but at like the same time, it wasn't a terrible performance, but man, 0-2 now in the big ones.
Listen, I know it's a composite ranking. I would push back on this a little bit. I think Arkansas should be higher. And I think there's one team that should be lower. Okay. And we'll get to them in a second. Yeah, I'm curious about this one. But yeah, it's like you said. I don't know, man. They had the close calls against Samford and Winthrop. I know they lost to Michigan State, but they were right there with the chance to win that game. There's just not a lot of players that you're going to see this season that do what Cam Boozer did, and Arkansas was still sitting there with a 7-point lead with 10 minutes to go. I don't know. I think I put Arkansas a little higher right now. And I know they had the close calls, don't get me wrong, but I still think they have played better in the big games than a certain team in front of them has played, to be honest with you. And I know Sean doesn't want me to say that because we're probably going to get to this team shortly, but I would have Arkansas a little higher.
Yep, that is fair. I feel like right now, if you want to have a buy low moment on Arkansas, I think now's the time to do it. You're about to get Louisville at home on Wednesday. I think that's a very high variance 3-point shooting team that also happens to be top 10 in the analytics. And this is also Louisville's first true road game. They played the semi away against Cincinnati, but this is the first true road game for Louisville. So, this is an Arkansas team that, yeah, I know, guys. Sorry, runaway. Maybe a bad choice of words. They won the last 5-6 minutes. Sorry, but this is an opportunity here where you have an Arkansas team that has not won their 2 big games yet, but you're going to catch a Louisville team at home, high variance 3-point shooting team. This could be the lowest we have Arkansas ranked all year, Blake.
Yeah, could be. And I know, like, Ken Palm says different about Kentucky and Arkansas. Ken Palm's, we don't, it is what it is. I mean, I don't really care what Ken Palm thinks, the power ranking. Like, it's just, we have to grade it a little differently. And so, but, I mean, we will bring that up about Ken Palm because I think it's an important discussion when we get to some of these teams in a second. But yeah, I mean, look, too, Ken Palm look how many of these teams he has this close together.
Right.
Like, you've got a team that's at 10, 11, 13, 14, 16, 22, 23, 30, 36, 37, and then, your team's below that. So, it is what it is. So
The pushback, though, also on the other side is while they have looked better in the big games, they only beat Winthrop by 1 point. They only beat Samford by 4 points. It's been shaky. It's been up and down, and you need a little bit more consistency. Here. So
I agree. I don't disagree with that. I still think I have more confidence in them than I do another team right now, and I'll just be honest with that. So
that's more than fair. That is more than fair. This is a team. This is kind of, I think this is a three-team spot here at 7-6-5. That is up for much debate and is pretty much going to be different in everybody's rankings. At 6 here,
who is it?
We have Missouri.
Oh wow! So you're okay.
At 6 here, we have Missouri.
Wow! All right.
They have not played a top 100 team yet. The top team they played was Minnesota at 114th in Ken Palm, and the second best team they played was Southeast was SEMO at 234. So probably the weakest schedule so far in the SEC. However, it's looked pretty smooth. Not too many bumps. We're waiting on Jaden Stone to get healthy, but however, welcome in Trent Burns. The Burns show is here. You can't really knock Mizzou on much, but also it's like you can't really push them up too much because they haven't played anybody.
Yeah, and my comment in response to seeing Missouri at 6 was not about Missouri.
Yeah, I know.
It was more about a team that is clearly going to be ranked higher. Yeah, I think with Missouri, just like I said with LSU, it's a matter of what do you value. But I mean, I can't knock the guys for going out and just demolishing teams. I mean, that they've beaten the teams on their schedule the way they should beat them, except for maybe the SEMO game. I mean, Prairie View A&M, that was an 18-point game, so maybe you're disappointed by that, but what else do you do? I mean, they've beaten everybody on their schedule, and yes, they're, as Drew says, 364 in strength of schedule per the net rankings. I mean, they've not played anybody. It's still kind of hard, I think, to rank them that much lower. So I don't have a big problem with this because, like we said, I think this is where, again, if you're looking at separators, like Missouri's got a tricky game at Notre Dame tomorrow night, and then they play Kansas on Sunday. So Missouri, another team that could have some drastic movement here if they don't, win one or both of these games this week. So.
Yeah, Ant Robinson has kind of slowed down a little bit. Only 8 points combined in the last 2 games. Only played 19 minutes against South Carolina State due to foul trouble. Played 30 minutes against Cleveland State, but still 4 fouls, 0 for 4 from 3. His O rating right now is a little bit lower than last year. Ant Robinson's got to get going a little bit. Blake, when you take out the preseason data from Torvik, right now Missouri's 55th in the country. They're 8-0, but 55th in the analytics without the preseason data. They haven't been covering analytical spreads. So I could hear an argument to move maybe in Arkansas or Kentucky or even in LSU higher than Missouri, just based on some analytics and some data so far.
All right, before we get to the top 5, the Yearly Company, go buy some jewelry. Nashville-based fine jewelry brand, built on tradition, designed for meaning. Solid 14 karat gold, natural gemstones, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle, as you know, custom size. So knowing your size, the most important step for ordering. If you're getting that holiday shopping done now, which you should be, do it now. Head over to the Yearly Company. Use our code SC16KIT. You get a free sizing kit. 100% off the sizing kit at checkout. Put our code in there, SC16KIT. 100% off at checkout over at the Yearly Company. All right, ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. Check out those guys over there. They got the great cases, great accessories, all that. Use our code SEC25 for 25% off over at ROKFORM.com. All right, number 5. They got to be number 5 because I don't think they're going to be higher.
Gators.
All right, so I don't want to act like I'm just completely railing on the Gators here, okay? But I was curious if they would be this high. They lost to TCU last week, and I know you can say, well, TCU also beat Wisconsin. Great, good for them. They only lost by 4 to Michigan. Good for them as well. I don't know, Max, it's just, am I overreacting to the disappointment so far of like Florida just not being what we thought they'd be to this point? I don't know, and that's why I said, like, I could go back and forth on even ranking in Arkansas over Florida right now because I think I trust their guard play a lot more. But the front court, there are differences. Right? So you can play the back and forth game. I was just curious when we got this composite ranking this week, where Florida would be at. And I admittedly thought they would be a little bit lower than this.
Yeah, I think that's the debate of the SEC right now is kind of where do you put these, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams? Because it seems like there's 3 that have kind of separated themselves a little bit, not by much, but I feel like there's 3 that have kind of separated themselves, and it's what do you do with these 4, 5, 6, 7 teams? And I could hear an argument for 7, I could hear an argument for 4. With Florida, the argument for, you're kind of leaning on analytics because the eye test hasn't really been there with the guard play. Irby has been fantastic, but obviously we've heard the negativity surrounding Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan's play and hasn't been what we expected. So the positives, you're leaning on analytics, right? Still top, 16th in KenPom. When you look at Evan Mia's stuff, they're 15th in Evan Mia. So you still have that, the analytical data still really likes Florida as a top team, 2 or 3 seed right now, but the eye test has not been great. I think honestly for me, Blake, it was a quote from Xavier Lee after the Providence win that I'm buying back into Florida a little bit. He's like, we're playing at our floor right now. We're playing at our absolute floor. This is the floor for Florida right now. The worst we're probably going to get all year. Xavier Lee's not hitting shots. Boogie Flan's not hitting shots. The front court is in and out. Condon in and out, missed the last game. You're trying to see if Alex Lloyd's going to get going. Is it going to be CJ Ingram? Is it going to be Isaiah Brown? This is the floor for Florida. So I'm kind of buying into they're gonna figure it out a little bit. That's just, I feel like it's personal with Florida.
Well, hey, congratulations. You get to figure it out on the road tomorrow night in Cameron Indoor to play the Duke Blue Devils. So it's a huge game. I mean, I that was my number 1 ranked non-conference game. I'm still looking forward to it. Still, I think is up there, whether it's 1, 2, 3, whatever. I think it may be even more fascinating now, knowing the way Florida started this season. So I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm just completely down on Florida, but I did have them ranked lower in my rankings this week. But I think it's probably a part of that is simply just maybe it is an overreaction to just, man, they're not as good as I thought they'd be, and I'm still worried about the guard play, the front court, and I think it was mentioned, like, when you play all the 3 bigs together, there can be some, I don't know, it's like it's not there yet, but they are still a team that has the tools, I think, to win the SEC. But clearly they are much more of a work in progress early in the season than, even if you could have looked at it on paper and said, they're probably going to be a work in progress. Maybe I underestimated that a bit because they're not quite there yet. But the good news is you don't have to be there just yet. It's a long season, but man, their next 2 games, Duke and UConn, we find out a lot more about where they are right now. So
I'm still holding the faith. I think they figure it out, but that it hasn't come together just yet. I think maybe they'll struggle a little bit with teams that force turnovers. TCU right now 7th in the country in turnover rate defensively. Given the backcourt that Florida has, it's probably going to be a storyline this season when Florida plays teams that force a lot of turnovers. Could be a little bit of Achilles heel for them. Could just be a matchup thing there.
Yeah.
We ready to move up top 4?
Number 4, I'm going to guess, is some Tigers from Auburn, probably.
It is some Tigers. Auburn beats the Johnnies on Wednesday, Blake. What a bounce back from Todd Pettiford. Come on. After, well, we know, little bit of a disappointment against Michigan, but you bounce back against St. John's.
Yeah, I think the Michigan, by the way, in my power rankings on any planet right now, Michigan would be number 1. But yeah, I think with Auburn, it's just the bounce back effect, right? You just got beat by 30. You're like, man, what an embarrassing performance. We don't want to lose like that on the big stage. And then you come back and beat St. John's. And I know immediately there'll be people saying, well, St. John's ain't very good and all this other stuff. I still think St. John's pretty good. They've lost 3 close-ish type games to teams. Clearly don't like to play teams from the state of Alabama. But yeah, I'm with Zach here. And I think we could see that turn for Auburn after the first game. I just said, I think the way they responded, you can see a team that's got a different energy. They're coming out with something to prove. And yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Michigan's the best team in the history of the sport. And I just feel like Auburn is, I'm back in. They're reeling me back in, Max. I was out on Auburn this offseason. I was a little lower on them in the Bruce Pearl thing. And I'm like, well, I may be even lower on them. They reel me back in now. So
I'll tell you what, going into that Wednesday morning before that St. John's game, Auburn was, I think, +5.5, +4.5. And I'm in a big college hoops chat. And I said, I think I like Auburn plus the points. And you Auburn fans on social media, Brandy, one of the bigger Auburn fans, she goes, Max, I love you, but don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm like, you know what? That makes me like it even more. Auburn plus the points. Me.
You said, this is I feel disgusting doing this, but I've got to. I've got to do it, and look what happened.
It was one of those college basketball moments. You get beat by 30, and then everyone's saying you can't win the next game. Yeah, well, get Todd Pettiforded. That's a new word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking what I see, and you did it without Jovic, Blake. You did it without one half the Viches. So,
oh yeah.
How about the development of Sebastian Williams-Adams? He's been great so far through November. Auburn with one of the better offenses right now in the SEC, top 10 nationally.
Guys, by the way, I was just joking. I don't think Michigan's the best team in the history of the sport. But I realized they had a close game against Wake Forest. But what they did in the Players era, come on. The Wolverines, former SECer, Dusty May. They'd be number 1 in our SEC rankings, I tell you that. But shout out to the bitches. All right.
The thing with Michigan's not going to make 14 threes every game like they did. They went on a heater.
Like, how many games in that tournament from Tuesday to Wednesday were like 20-plus point games between quality teams?
Yeah.
It's just such a strange how that happened. But that's basketball for you.
Yeah. All right, into the top 3, and I feel like the top 3
here we go.
Have started to separate slightly, just slightly, but I'm pretty sure all the members had this top 3 as well. There might have been 1 or 2 with different, but this was a pretty unanimous top 3 here.
All right, I have no idea where we're headed on this. Like, I think any order I would not be surprised by. So I am fascinated. This is the big reveal here. This is what you've been waiting for. No clue.
I think I'm in agreement with him. I think I am.
Okay.
Number 3, coming off of a loss, we have Tennessee. They lost to Kansas on Wednesday after beating Houston the day before on Tuesday. No Darren Peterson for Kansas. That was a bit of a letdown. Tennessee was favored by a good amount. It was only like 4.5 in the morning. And then before tip, Tennessee's like a 6 or 7 point favorite. It's like, whoa, this is really getting steamed up. Tennessee does not shoot well, only 28%, drops the game to Kansas, but it was a good week. You got the Houston win the day before.
I had Tennessee at 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And that's the thing, is like, if they don't lose the Kansas game, they are easily the number 1 team in our rankings, I think.
Yes.
But I also think you can say, and I know Jay Banklid here, not happy, says it's an absolute joke. So the Vols by far have the best win in the conference. Houston's interesting.
I wouldn't say by far.
I wouldn't say by far either, because I don't think this Houston team is last year's Houston team. No. And I think we've seen that so far. But there is no question. That's a great win. And is a fantastic win. So I don't want to knock that at all. I just think it was maybe a little bit of the why they're at 3 is they're maybe in the composite ranking. And I don't remember all the member votes, so I'm not sure. Could be it's the combination of we don't know if Houston is as good as, well, we do know they're not as good as they were last year, but it's still a good win. And just the reaction to the Kansas loss feels a little disappointing after the Houston win. So I think it's that combination, which is why I think Tennessee, I'm not shocked to see them at 3 here, even if I did still have them higher.
Yeah, it's just because the Kansas loss was disappointing, and it was how you lost it, right? Jacoby Gillespie, 1 of 10 from 3. You shoot 7 of 25 from 3-point land. You can't make a shot from outside. You're relying on Ament to get to the free throw line and just create something out of nothing. It was just like, that's probably going to happen again at some point. You know, it was a disappointing loss, but still, it was a great week. I mean, you beat Houston and underdog in that game, so you win one as an underdog, you lose one as a favorite, and meet somewhere in the middle. You're at 3. You got a 5-point spread against Syracuse tonight. Do not take this Syracuse team lightly. There's just something about it. I know they just got beat up pretty good by Iowa State, but not a bad Syracuse team. Like,
that only being 5 tomorrow night on the road. It's a tricky one. I'm staying away from that one. I want no part of it. So,
yeah,
no part.
All right.
Here we go. I want to know. I don't know which one we're going to get here. I honestly think I know who number 1 it's going to be, and I'm curious. Let's find out.
This 3 went how I voted 3 as well. I was aligned with the top 3. I was aligned.
I didn't see your votes. You saw mine. I didn't see yours.
Yes. Number 2, we have got the side of Alabama.
Wow.
Number 2,
Look
which
at
we're
this.
just going to go ahead and loop them together. You know what that means, folks. Number 1 in our power rankings for first time since I've been here in 3 years. Vanderbilt is number 1 in your SEC basketball power rankings on December 1st.
Keep in mind, it's not just Max and I voting. I pretty much gave you mine. I had Tennessee at 2. I had Alabama at 1. I had Vanderbilt at 3. But the chat, the MVPs and legends who get to vote now as part of our composite ranking, our entire staff votes on their rankings, and the Commodores get the number 1. How about that?
I will say, I put Vanderbilt at 1, and the members' composite was Vanderbilt at 1.
All right. So I was the different. Okay. So my differing opinion still did not. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
There you go.
And so we can talk about them together because it's two different conversations. Alabama has the much tougher schedule, has the great wins. St. John's, Illinois wins, lost to Purdue at home, lost to Zags on a neutral, bounced back against UNLV in Maryland. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt has looked absolutely incredible in every game they've played. They have crushed the analytics. I'm pretty sure 96 points on St. Mary's. I might be slightly wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that was the most regulation points put up on Randy Bennett like ever. I saw some stat like that. It was, or might not be ever, but a crazy stat about regular season points to a Randy Bennett squad. Destroyed VCU, beat UCF on the road. It's a tight conversation.
Listen, I love the chat right now. There are regulars in here absolutely just hating it. Kenny says we've just lost all respect. Kenny, we lost all respect a long time ago, pal.
Wow, a lot of Vandy hate. Jeez.
Yeah, well, what do we... All right, so hold on. Let me just say this quickly. And remember, I did not have this order. I had Alabama at 1, Tennessee, Vandy. That was my top 3. But there were some people in the chat earlier who were using the net ranking and the KenPom ranking to tell us that their team should be higher, and yet the number 1 team in the SEC in the net ranking and the KenPom ranking is Vanderbilt. So I just want to point that out. We can't use different criteria here, folks. So I would not push back too much on the Commodores here, being at 1. Because I also remember a team last year, and no, let me just tell you right now, I am not saying this is how the season's going to end. But I also remember a team last year around this time that people said hadn't played anybody that was undefeated. And what happened with that team? They went on and won the national championship in the Florida Gators. How many times last year when we ranked Florida so high and everybody said, what are you doing? They hadn't played anybody. And then Florida turned out to be the national champs. Not saying that's going to happen with Vanderbilt. I would not put Vanderbilt as the favorite to win the national championship right now. But, again, we have pointed this out. I am not going to push back that much on this. It is a composite ranking. Our members were high on Vanderbilt, and they're members for a reason. I love Kenny. Kenny's great. I got Alabama by 50 over the Commodores. Florida by 40. So, I'm just saying. I would not push back too much on this Vanderbilt, despite the fact that you can say they haven't played anybody, but all things considered, they played more bodies than some of the other teams in the SEC who are still ranked pretty high. So, I mean, they just beat down VCU and St. Mary's. And I know it's not the VCU and St. Mary's of old, but Max, I still think Alabama, to me, is the team that when you look at their overall profile, and maybe, Max, maybe I just gave them the bump here on the fact that they went out and beat Maryland by 33, did what I asked them to do. I still think I'd put the Tide at 1 just because their 2 losses, Purdue and the Zags. And we talk about best wins, right? I know profile-wise, sure, you could say, like, I still think Illinois is just a fantastic win for Alabama, the way they did it. So, again, Alabama has certainly played the tougher schedule of this group. But, hey, as someone else said, too, it's December 1. Folks, it's a power ranking. We're here to have fun. Just calm down, all right? We're not the net. We're not the end-all, be-all like this whole net ranking that came out today. But, no, there you go.
That spread against St. Mary's was 4.5. Vanderbilt won by 25. Absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah.
If you look at Bart Torvik, Evan Mia, Ken Palm, every single analytics site that exists has Vandy higher than Alabama. The eye test for Vanderbilt has been an A+++++++. The beautiful offense. Number 4 in offense efficiency in the country right now. Top 30 defense. Haven't even been fully healthy. Frankie Collins been in and out of the lineup. I mean, to be shocked by Vanderbilt being number 1 just says you haven't watched Vanderbilt play basketball yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They've looked. Just watch them play. They're incredible.
Like they have been a juggernaut. There's no questions about it. And again, to say they haven't played anybody is just simply untrue. They have played solid teams. Have they played the number of elite teams that we've seen Tennessee now play, now Alabama play? No. And maybe that's why I had the reverse order. But I still think, again, to knock Vanderbilt at this point in the season just is kind of silly. So they're an offensive machine. But they have a tough matchup on Wednesday against SMU. So anytime we rank someone at number 1, be wary of your next game. And they got the Mustangs, the team that I have just completely – we know what I've said about SMU over the past couple of years. And wouldn't it be fitting if SMU comes out and beats Vanderbilt? But there you have it. So
when you take out the preseason data from Bart Torvik, Vanderbilt is number 4 in the nation. Alabama is 11. But this is pretty cool. Their profiles are exactly the same. Vanderbilt is the number 1 offense in the nation, 42nd defense. Alabama, number 2 offense in the nation, 68th defense. It's the same team, man. It's the same thing. An insanely elite offense with tons of spacing, tons of shooting, tons of pace, and then the defense is going to catch up.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Let me get to a couple of chats. You guys have been coming in hot with the chats, so I want to make sure we get to some of them. Let's see. I know we had a super chat somewhere. I don't know if we got to this one. Wait, yeah, we did get this one from Zach earlier. I'm sorry. Justin, you left a $2 super chat. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to put that on the screen because some people may confuse that for that word. I know you spelled it the way it should be spelled for us to not put it on the screen, but I don't want some people to think we are putting it on the screen and accidentally, you know what I mean. So we appreciate the super chat as always, Justin. But who was it? Yeah, Vibe said, I'll tell you what, Vanderbilt versus Alabama will be a shootout. Absolutely. I mean, this is the most anticipated game of the SEC season right now. Vanderbilt, Alabama, and you don't have to wait long, folks. January 7th. That one's in Nashville at Memorial. Alabama notoriously does not play well there. If you look at the history, that game's going to be tremendous. So mark that one down.
Incredible. 10th right now for Vanderbilt is the second highest in the history of KenPom. They've only played one game in the past, 29 years? They've only played one game with a higher ranking.
Oh, there was someone and it may have been Josh. Josh, I saw your chat somewhere. You asked who would win between Vanderbilt and Houston. And I don't know if you were asking that as in like to knock Vanderbilt, but if you were asking that as a serious question, I don't think that spread would be anything more than what, Max? A couple points.
Be like Houston -2.
Yeah, I really don't think that would be a Houston -6 or something. I don't think that would be the case. Because remember, some of that in terms of like the odds is driven by the analytics, and the analytics say that a lot of them say that Vanderbilt is right there with Houston. So I think, look, I'm not trying to take away. Like I said, I rank Tennessee higher. Not gonna lie, I ranked them higher than Vanderbilt, but
which is fair.
I don't want to take a lot away from that win for Tennessee, but it is okay, I think, to say that this Houston team is also a work in progress, just like Florida. And we've kind of talked about that over the past couple weeks. So these three teams at the top of the SEC, and I think you even throw an Auburn in there now, based on the way they bounce back.
Sure.
Now, the Michigan 30-point loss is not great, but again, you can say that about the Zags too. I think these teams right here feel like they're moving along quite well right now. But I think you get beyond that. Like we said, we can pick apart some things with Florida and Arkansas, Kentucky, even a Missouri maybe just because of the schedule. But yeah, I feel like these top three, man, all right. Like I'm okay with these sitting here with, kind of in that spot. So, and look, Big Gator EJ, you can point that out too. Sorry, just quickly. Sure, Oklahoma was undefeated prior to SEC play also. Completely fair. But I think the thing that I look at the most was the difference between Florida and Oklahoma last year. I don't know, man. It just felt like Florida was just completely being dissed to no end more than Oklahoma was. Because I don't think Florida had played the schedule, right? If we look at Oklahoma's schedule last year at this time, they had beaten Arizona and Louisville, right? Those were good wins. But like if you went back to Florida last year at this time, it was all about, okay, they had beaten Florida State, not good. They had beaten Wake Forest, not great. And that was it to this point. Like their other games were pretty subpar. Virginia, who was down, and all of that. So that's why I made somewhat of that comparison, but also completely understand I'm not making that comparison to say that Vanderbilt's going to be the national title favorite. So,
yeah, and one interesting development for the league, Blake. The league had a great feast week. Great feast week. Yeah. I'm gonna pull up an image real quick just to show you like what we're talking about when we're talking about I'm not going to leave it up too long, but when you're talking about KenPom's ranking of the leagues, see how we're plus 19.69 there up at the top? That was about a point lower just a week ago, about 18. So we just had a fantastic feast week separating as a conference. And what's the difference, Blake? The difference is LSU in a week has risen from around 40th up to 23rd, flying up the rankings. Texas A&M, it's about mid 60s last week, 47th, about a 20-point jump. Vanderbilt started the season 19th, up to 10th. So when you look at the league last year, how it finished, you had Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee, all top 6. 4 of the top 6 were SEC. The top of the league was ridiculous. You don't have anybody top 10 right now. Only we have Vanderbilt at 10. We have no one in single digits. However, the league is just bunched right up from like 10 to 40 is just scrunched the whole league. And it's honestly, the league's better. The league is better than we've been. The consensus idea has been on the league. It's not as bad as we've been making it seem.
Well, and remember, we hate the net rankings, but they are out now, and I think you can see kind of the difference in like where the SEC was at last year, and that's like it's okay if the league takes a step back. It's just you don't want it to take a step back to the point to where all of a sudden you're getting half the teams in the the NCAA tournament, where it's like 7 get in versus 14. You don't want that to be the scenario, and I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, and two, like look, Kenny brings it up, and you're also right now a product of your opponents, right? And it's like, okay, St. John's projected top 5 team. Well, they're losing games. That's not good. Alabama, that doesn't help you. So you're rooting for the teams that you've beaten because you want them to improve their resumes, but that's completely out of your control. Like once you get to SEC play, all right, like there are some things that are obviously a bit more in your control based on your league opponents, but non-conference, like you can't determine. Even like, again, a St. John's losing 3 games at this point, you can't determine the non-conference strength of schedule for one of your opponents and maybe them losing one they shouldn't lose to someone bad. Like, these are just things that, and that's why I think the best move is always to schedule tough. And look, like the battle for Atlantis for Vanderbilt. I mean, again, like I'm not saying VCU and St. Mary's are going to be Elite 8 teams, but based on the field, like, to win games like that, like that's pretty good. Like that's a great result, I think, if you're Vanderbilt, and that's going to help you in the analytics because, like I said, the net rankings right now, Vanderbilt is at 4, Tennessee's at 12, Alabama at 14, Kentucky 15, LSU 19, and those are the only teams in the top 30. Auburn's at 30. And it's like last year, what were we saying? The SEC had 14 in the top 40 or something. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got 8 in the top 40 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So Arkansas's at 45, Missouri 51, Texas 68, A&M 79, Oklahoma 94, Ole Miss 96, South Carolina 99, and Mississippi State 172. So you can't control all the variables right now in non-conference play. That's why you got to make the most of it.
Still going with 10 teams?
Boy.
11 is looking enticing. 11 is looking enticing.
I'm still going to go 10. Because I think, and the reason why I'm going to be the ultimate pessimist for this ACC challenge this week, folks. Because I think, I'm not saying it's going to flip back to 14-2 the other way, but I worry that the SEC is going to drop some of these games in the ACC challenge. I just think it's going to come back to the middle. And that's where, like, the games like Tennessee at Syracuse, Missouri, Notre Dame, those ones worry me a little bit. So.
Also, if one person calls it the JMA Wireless Dome instead of the Carrier Dome.
The JMA Wireless Dome.
Get out of here. You're out of here. Grew up going to the Carrier Dome. I've been to more. That's been the number one arena I've gone to the amount of times.
All right.
Not calling it JMA.
Sean says, if Florida beats Duke, how far do they rise up in the rankings? Well, you know me, Sean. They'll probably be number 1. I'll overreact completely. But no, you want to talk about identifying the best win in the SEC. There you go. That would be the best win.
Instantly.
Easily. Can
we talk about Boozer's chicken wing? I mean, geez, I'm doing that out at the playground, chicken winging guys. It's clear as day out there.
Unreal. All right. Zach's got $2 to say that Auburn's going to slam NC State. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to hop off here for the power rankings. Still TBD on how we're going to do the ACC, SEC challenge predictions. Sometimes we do separate videos for the high-profile games, but we'll see. We may give you a prediction on every game just to have fun with it and see what we come up with, Max. But TBD on that. We got a lot of football stuff coming today. We already had the show this morning, if you just checked in. Man, we had a 2-hour football show yesterday. We had our 1-hour show this morning talking about Kentucky and Mark Stoops, more Lane Kiffin drama.
Can't keep up.
And all that. Yeah. And we got, by the way, there's an SEC championship game being played this weekend. We'll have that video up today. We got clips coming from the 2-hour stream from yesterday. If you didn't see it, we got some clips going up on Arkansas, Auburn. My goodness. I don't know how many streams I've done, Max, in the past 24 hours here, but it's a lot. Zach wants Max on a football show. Well, guess what? You're going to get it soon because we are going to start our video game series.
Yes.
And I almost feel like with the coaching carousel in the SEC right now, we may have to just pick an NCAA tournament NCAA team and just pick one of these SEC teams that doesn't have a coach, and Max Barr and I will coach them, which Kentucky does not have a coach right now. So I don't know. Or maybe we will embrace our Lane Kiffin and pick LSU and see if we can win a national championship. We'll find out.
Yes.
We'll put that to a vote potentially. But
speaking of video games, our members got to enjoy some great video game talks with us in one of our members' streams. But was hanging out with my older brother Thanksgiving. Blake, he's on an EA college football dynasty with Kent State. He's in the year 2040 right now.
Wow.
2040. So we're gonna be on a little bit of a journey. I don't know if we'll get to 2040, but
we're gonna have some fun with this thing.
We'll have some.
So yeah, we will have some fun with it. So become a member. I just put the link there. Remember, if you're an MVP or a legend, that gets you in on all the new exclusive shows we're doing. The weekly shows, whether it's video game streams, our SEC mailbag, we'll have that this week. We have our review show, which we did the first one on our Thanksgiving foods. You guys seem to enjoy that. So a lot of good stuff. Check out, click that link, hit the join button. You can find out all the details on how to become a member from the 3 membership tiers: supporter, MVP, or legend. All right. We're out of here. I got to get my voice back. 2 hours of streams today. We got to do some challenge predictions. And, we appreciate you guys. Check out our fine friends at FanDuel. A lot of lines we'll talk about when we do these predictions for the games. And notifications on. Lots of content coming today on the channel. Yes, lots. All right. We appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you soon. Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.